And then there were two. In a competition that started with 59 teams from 47 countries, only two remained to battle for Africa's top prize. And there are two teams on very opposite ends of the spectrum. One will look to return to the throne and complete a 9-year odyssey, which has seen them fail time and time again, finally to get that second star, or one who's been a plucky upstart, not always liked, not always hated, but never ignored, looking to finish and pull off the ultimate money heist. Hi, I'm Mphoza, and welcome to my preview of the 2025 CAF Champions League final. Now, unlike many of my other previews in this competition, this one's going to be a little bit different. I plan to add a few different voices along with me to break down this ultimate knockout tie between these two sides. But before I mention who those are, first of all, if you guys are liking the content, give a like, a share, subscribe, and tell me what are your predictions ahead of this huge final. Anyway, guys, thanks for the support you've been giving me throughout this competition, and hope to see you guys when we enjoy this final. But well, enough of my yapping. Let's get the show on the road, starting with the two teams, though, do have differing histories in the CAF Champions League final. For Sundowns, this will be their third final. Ironically, this will be another final we'll be playing against the Egyptian side, as their previous two final appearances were against the big two. The first, they lost to Al Ahly 4-1, drawing 1-1 away at home in Pretoria before losing 3-0 away in Egypt. But the second one, though, that was the memorable one. They beat Zamalek 3-0 at home before losing 1-0 away in Alexandria, but the job was already done at home. So for Sundowns, this will be their third final, and again it'll be against the Egyptian side. For Pyramids, though, this will be their first final. They've never played a CAF Champions League final before, though they do have some previous continental experience in finals, having played in the CAF Confederations Cup final in 2020. There they lost out to RS Berkane in a once-off match. For these two, though, it will be a first-time meeting at this part of the competition. Mamelodi Sundowns and Pyramids have never met in a CAF Champions League knockout game, but they have met before in the competition. This will be their third and fourth meeting. They actually met in the group stage last year. The first match in Pretoria ended in a 0-0 draw, but then Mamelodi Sundowns would go away to Egypt and would win the away leg 1-0 thanks to a long-range shot from Teboho Mokoena. That result would be one of the results that would see Mamelodi Sundowns progress to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, while sadly for Pyramids, their campaign ended there. The Brazilians' road to the CAF Champions League final started in the last 32 playoffs, the last qualifying round where they would face off against Swazi champions Mbabane Swallows. After comfortably dispatching them 9-0, they would be drawn into Group B in the group stage, and that was the group of death, which featured FAR Rabat, the champions of Morocco, Raja Casablanca, and tournament debutants Maniema Union. They would make a very awkward start to the group stage, drawing 0-0 at home to Maniema Union, a game you most likely expect them to win. And things didn't get any better when they drew away at FAR Rabat. There, a decision was made. Coach Mangoba was let go, and in came Mikel Cardoso. The Portuguese, who was formerly coach of Esperance de Tunis and had led the Blood and Gold to the final, now was tasked with leading Masandawana not just to the final, but to win the final. Before they could think of the championship game, they would have to get past Raja Casablanca, a game they had to win to finally get their campaign off the road. And finally they did. A 1-0 win thanks to a goal from Ikram Reyners would see Masandawana get their first win of the campaign. But the waters didn't stop getting choppy, as they would sadly be victims of a 1-0 reverse away in Casablanca to the Green Eagles. That would mean that Sundowns were really behind it now before they visited DRC and Maniema Union. They were 1-0 down with just under 10 to play, and knowing that a defeat would seriously jeopardize their chances of going through to the knockout round, on came Peter Shalulile, and just as he's been throughout his years, was a hero in the back of the net, scoring to level the game at 1-1 and then forcing a mistake in the Manyema Union defense to make it 2-1, and the Brazilians would score a crucial away win in Congo, meaning destiny was in their own hands. There they would play for a tame 1-1 draw against FAR Rabat, but the job was done and the Brazilians were through to yet another CAF Champions League quarterfinals. There they would meet a familiar foe, Blessong or Esperance, the team that dumped them out of the competition in the semi-finals the previous year. And Sundowns would get their revenge, winning the home game 1-0 thanks to that man again, Peter Shalulile, and going away to Tunis, facing a hostile home crowd, an intense atmosphere, and a lengthy VAR check to see the Brazilians through 0-0 on the night and 1-0 win on aggregate. To the semi-finals they went, where they'd fallen in the last 2 years, and again they'd meet another familiar foe, this time the defending record champions Al Ahly. There at home again they were held 0-0. I mean, a performance they wouldn't really want to watch back, a performance that you could say Al Ahly won on points, but the match would be won and lost in Cairo. And just as Sundowns have had throughout this campaign, in the face of adversity, they rose. After being 1-0 down just before the break, the Brazilians piled on the pressure and eventually got their goal. And through an ingenious bit of skill from Tembazwane, a bit of messing in the area from Ikram Reyners, the ball would fall to Yasser Ibrahim, who would divert it into his own net to get the crucial away goal to see Sundowns into their third Champions League final. I mean, we all know Mamelodi Sundowns. We know the name, the brand, the football, the ambition. But what do we truly know about Mamelodi Sundowns? I mean, who better to answer that question of what made them tick throughout this CAF Champions League campaign than an insider, a fan? And I would like to bring another contributor to the Let's Talk Africa Football podcast and ardent Sundowns supporter, Mphoza. Please, Tell the people, what makes Mamelodi Sundowns tick? What will be their strengths and their weaknesses, and who will be those they have to look out for in this championship game?
You see, the way that Sundowns plays has been very interesting. Under Cardoso's management, Sundowns has shown that they are able to adapt to situational play. You got to remember that under Coach Rulani, Sundowns used to be about possession play and being able to play in small boxes and be able to move forward. Now, what you get under Cardoso is that should the opportunity for a long ball come, they are willing to use it. That's been able to adapt and not be stuck in your own ways. But the one thing that is very important to Sundowns is the combinational play of their players. The front three, pending who they start, and at the moment it's starting to look like it's going to be Reyners, Ribeiro and Matthews. And then you look at the middle of Tebza, you're looking at Jaden Adams, and you're looking at Marcelo Allende, who I think it's a lot of people overlook him, but he's the heartbeat to that team. And the way that they play in terms of playing off one another and being able to affect you in terms of what they do. And what's also very important is that they are now giving away very little goals in terms of looking at Williams and the defense. Yes, in the local league there were mistakes that they made and they lost to those, but they don't give away many goals. So when you look at that, that's going to be the strength of Sundowns in terms of from a Williams, who can also be very good at distributing, but is also a good outlet. But also they've got a very good bench that knows how to go and affect games. You look at Tembazwane, Temba can be able to change the tempo, how the game is played, and be able to affect it. He's got that experience, he's the know-how, he's Tembazwane. And you look at the possibility of if, and I'm assuming that Mudau will start, and you look at the option of having a Thapelo Morena that can come and be able to impact the game. Those are the things that a lot of teams don't have. So whenever they make changes, it's not change, it does not compromise the quality of the personnel. It just enhances it. So this is what I think is going to be the advantage to Sundowns against Pyramid. I think the biggest weakness that Sundowns have is that and it boils down to player management. If they don't manage themselves properly, especially on the left-hand channel, you look at Mudiba, you look at Divine, and you look at when. So that's where, if you look at how they conceded against Pirates, how they conceded against Chiefs, it's the left wing back channel. That's the one part that can be that, but also the lack of pace for a Grant Kegana could also be a bit of a problem. But those are the only weaknesses that one can see from there. But otherwise, it's normally made up for because Sundowns always control most of the possession, which makes it very rare for one to be able to know those characteristics.
For Pyramids, their CAF Champions League campaign began a bit earlier than their opponents in the final. They played in the very first qualifying round where they easily dispatched JKU of Zanzibar 7-0. They would be a bit more challenged when they took on ARP of Rwanda in the playoffs, but there they would dispatch them 4-2, and for the second year in a row they would be in the group stage. In that group stage, they would meet Espérance de Tunis, Sangrada Esperanza, and Joliba from Mali. And they had a pretty comfortable campaign, only one defeat, and would finish level on points with Esperance, sadly being on the wrong end of the head-to-head. But the job was done, and for the first time, Pyramids were through to the CAF Champions League quarterfinals. In those quarterfinals, they would face a highly fancied FAR Rabat team, a Rabat team that had topped the group that featured domestic rivals Roger Casablanca and serial Champions League participants Mamelodi Sundowns. Their Pyramids laid their statements for Africa to bear. While most Champions League games and Champions League ties are traditionally tight games, Pyramids were devastating, with Fiston Mayele and Ibrahim Adao combining to run rings all around the FAR Rabat defense, winning 4-1 at home and leaving the Moroccans with an almighty mountain to climb when they came home. Though the second leg did have its scary moments, they did just about enough. They lost 2-0 on the night, but had won through 4-3 on aggregate, and that really had marked Pyramids as a team that could attack, a team that knows where the back of the net is, and a team that could be dangerous. A warning not listened to by their semi-final opponents, Orlando Pirates. There, the game ended 0-0 in Johannesburg, for the first leg, but Pyramids definitely have their chances. They had 2 goals disallowed due to VAR. Fiston Mayele had a glorious opportunity that sadly flew over the bar, and it would be all square heading to Cairo. But one thing Pyramids hadn't really been tested was their bounce back ability. How would they be able to rise in the face of adversity? And there, Pirates would test them, going down twice in that match and only leading for the first time with 5 minutes to play. After going down 1-0 and 2-1 down, goals from Ramadan Sobi and 2 from that man again, Fiston Mayele, would see Pyramids through to their first ever CAF Champions League final, and a team that not only do have the panache and the arsenal to get goals, but also a team that have great bounce back ability, a team that can able to face adversity, and a team that definitely Mamelodi Sundowns will not take lightly in the championship match. Well, but who are Pyramids? Who are they? I mean, what makes them tick? What makes them a dangerous team to fear? And what problems will they pose to Mamelodi Sundowns in the Champions League final? I mean, I don't necessarily have the answer to those questions, well, not the definitive answers, but I know someone who does. A very good friend of mine and a fellow contributor on the Let's Talk Africa football podcast, Mahmoud. Please take us away. What makes Pyramids FC tick?
Hello, my friends. Sorry for my late submission. So, I'm going to speak a little bit about Pyramids match against Sundowns. Of course, I'm an Ali fan, but I try to be as much objective as I can. So we all saw Pyramids this season in the CAF Champions League and even in the Egyptian Premier League. They were very strong. Even I think in the CAF Champions League they were on top when it comes to goal scoring. Um, one of their biggest strengths is their attack and even midfield. They have really good players, the likes of the left winger Ibrahim Adil, Ramadan Sobhi, which plays also originally as a left winger, but since Ibrahim Adil is playing as a left winger, so sometimes now he is playing as a playmaker, center attacking midfielder. We also have Mustafa Fathi playing as a right winger. These three players are really, really good and skillful. And Ibrahim Adil can really score. And of course, playing as a striker is Mayeli from Congo. I think he's injured, but I'm not sure if he will play the next match against Sundowns or not. But let's see. So Pyramids have really good attack and really good midfield. Their weakest link would be the goalkeeper, and of course their defense is not that good, but they have good right back, which is Chibi from Morocco, and their main problem is the goalkeeper, as I mentioned. So I would be worried for the goalkeeper and defense against Sundowns. But again, Sundowns are not playing the attacking football we know about them. So I'm not sure what will happen. But if they tried and attack and pressure the Pyramids defense, I'd be worried a little bit. And lately something changed about Pyramids. Maybe that's because of the lack of experience they have. They are not used to be under that kind of pressure of being one step of achieving the Egyptian Premier League and one step to achieving also the CAF Champions League. All of a sudden we found that their current form downgraded a lot lately. The past 3 matches they played really, really bad in the Egyptian Premier League. They lost 2 matches, 3-2 and 4-2 against Farco and against National Bank of Egypt, respectively. So I'm not sure what's the problem here, because when they played against Orlando Pirates, Ibrahim Adil was injured, and then in these 2 matches Ibrahim Adil was back, and yet the form drastically went down. So I'm not sure if they play Sundowns with their current form, it will be really dangerous. But if they close their eyes about the past 3 matches in the Egyptian Premier League and completely forget about how bad they played these matches, even their match against Zamalek, they played very well. They played very bad, and but Zamalek is currently having a lot of issues, so that's why they were capable of winning the match 1-0 against Zamalek. But even this match, their defense was really bad. So I'm really worried about them. If I'm speaking as a Pyramids, if I'm a Pyramid fan, and we all know the Pyramids doesn't have any kind of fans or any kind of fan base in Egypt. I'd be very worried about the current form of the club. But again, they have uh, they have a lot of strength points when it comes to the attack and the midfield. If they played their papers right, they might pull it off and win the CAF Champions League. I don't know. It's really a tough match, and their current situation and their current form, it's really bad for Pyramids. But maybe things will change. We all know a lot of teams will be not on form when it comes to their domestic league, and then they play in the CAF Champions League and they achieve good results. Maybe that would be the case, but with Pyramids, it's always you can't be sure about it. I think they are under really big pressure, and they are not used to it. So I think Sundowns in that department, they have a little bit lead because they are more used to playing in the CAF Champions League at this point, especially when you compare them to Pyramids, because Pyramids, it's the second year for them. But again, they achieved very good results. Pyramids, I will tell you, this is the same team that played last year. They changed almost 2 players. They didn't make a lot of changes in the squad, but the main change was that the players actually began to understand how Africa works and how to play in Africa and how to win in Africa and how to progress in Africa. They gained some experience, so that's why they did a better job this season compared to last year. If they manage to handle themselves well when it comes to how to handle the pressure and how to handle the psychological part of the game, they might pull it off. But it's really a difficult match. Sundowns is not that difficult at all. We all saw Al Ahly against Sundowns. Al Ahly was obviously looking better in the pitch. So I think if Pyramids focus enough and train enough psychologically for the match, I think they can pull it off. But again, Sundowns has the edge when it comes to the fan base, even if Sundowns doesn't have that much of the fan base. But compared to Pyramids, I think they have the edge in that department, and they have the edge when it comes to experience in playing the African competition and experience in handling this kind of pressure. So yeah, thank you.
Now, how I predict this match will go. Now, I'm not necessarily going to predict the result. I mean, forget that. I'm going to predict mainly how I feel the match will play, or how I feel the tie will play. I feel that Pyramids will be very, very direct, just as they've been throughout this competition. They've been a constant goal threat to everybody in the CAF Champions League, and they've been scoring a lot of goals as well. I mean, we all saw FAR Rabat and Orlando Pirates, and they're a team that knows where the back of the net is. So I think Sundowns are going to be very, very careful about that with Pyramids, because if they aren't careful, if they don't watch Pyramids, if they don't necessarily look out for that danger, I feel that they're going to be in trouble. I mean, Orlando Pirates had the game seemingly won, and then they let it go, and Pyramids won it back. So I feel for Sundowns that they're going to be they're going to have to be very, very vigilant, especially in that home game in Pretoria, as to not concede an away goal and to hopefully take some sort of advantage or some sort of level footing or level pegging on the way to Cairo for the second leg. For Sundowns, on the other hand, They've got the sense of steel, this determination about them. They really do look like a different side. And I feel that for them, knowing that they've had the harder road to the final, having beaten Al Ahly and Esperance on the way here, Sundowns will definitely start this game as favourites, but there will be that pressure that will come with being favourites. And also the grand obsession. I mean, Sundowns are obsessed with this competition. I mean, they've come so close over the last couple of years, and I feel, although not physically, but I feel that for Sundowns, it will be very important for them to sort of keep that in check. You know, the obsession. Will that be a crutch? Will that be a sort of crippling point for them, or that will be what will hamper them, and they'll start making sort of irrational decisions, or decisions they wouldn't normally make. So I feel that will be a bit of a concern for Sundowns heading into this final. So for both sides, it's going to be I predict it's going to be a very tense game. It will definitely have some goals in it, definitely will, but it will be a very, very tense game. Like most finals, it will come down to a goal, maybe even an away goal. Who that goal will favor, only time will tell. And that's it. That is my preview for the CAF Champions League final. A huge thank you to Mphoza and to Mahmoud for contributing to this video. All of their social media, YouTube, and all the likes is down in the description. Give them a follow, give them a sub. Also, guys, again, as I said earlier, if you're liking this video, don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe, and put in the comments, what is your prediction? Who do you think will be coming out victorious and be crowned champions of Africa at the end of this? Let us know. Anyway, until then, it's been your boy, the Football Otaku, and never forget, real football always wins. Bye bye. Deuces.